The sun was dipping low over Leicester's Victoria Park, casting long shadows across the grass, the kind of golden hour light that makes everything look like it's been touched up in a photo filter. Matt Armstrong, grease still under his fingernails from wrenching on a battered Audi TT all morning, walked hand in hand with his girlfriend Ellie, her laughter cutting through the hum of distant traffic. They were knackered but buzzing another project car brought back from the dead, another video for the YouTube channel in the bag. Matt's faded hoodie and jeans screamed, "Bloke who fixes stuff," while Ellie's bright red jacket, a nod to her love for bold cars, stood out against the muted greens of the park. They were just another couple, stealing a moment away from the grind of engines and deadlines, until a sharp voice sliced through the calm like a snapped timing belt. "Oi, you two, hold it right there." It was Chief Inspector Harris, a bear of a man in a crisp Metropolitan Police uniform, his badge glinting like he thought it gave him superpowers. His tone wasn't a request, it was a command, dripping with the kind of authority that makes your stomach drop. Two other officers, Constable Reed and Sergeant Walsh, flanked him, their eyes already narrowing, sizing up Matt and Ellie like they'd just caught them nicking hubcaps. Harris didn't wait for a response. He strode forward, boots crunching on the gravel path, his gaze locked on Ellie's bag, a battered leather thing she'd had since her uni days. "What's in there, love? Open it up, now." His voice carried a sneer, like he'd already decided they were guilty of something. Matt felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his cool, years of dealing with dodgy mechanics and skeptical customers teaching him to pick his battles. Ellie, though, wasn't having it. "Excuse me? We're just walking here. What's this about?" Her tone was sharp, her Leicester accent cutting through, but Harris just smirked, his eyes raking over her like she was a problem to be solved. "In this part of town, people like you don't get to ask questions. You look like trouble, and I'm not in the mood for games." He gestured at her jacket. "Nice gear. Pinched it from some posh shop, did you? Or just trying to blend in with the decent folk?" The insult landed like a slap, and Matt felt Ellie tense beside him. A small crowd was starting to gather, joggers slowing down, mums with prams whispering, a few teens already pulling out their phones, filming like they knew this was about to go south. Harris turned to his officers, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "Got a call about a couple sniffing around, making people nervous. Sound familiar?" Reed, a wiry bloke with a face like he'd sucked a lemon, stepped closer, eyeing Matt's toolbox, which he'd brought along out of habit. "Bet you're carrying more than spanners in there, mate. What's the hustle? Stripping cars in the car park?" Walsh, older and stockier, chuckled darkly, shaking his head. "Same old story, innit? Wrong sort, wrong place, wrong time." Matt's blood started to boil, but he kept his voice steady, his hands stuffed in his pockets to keep them from balling into fists. "We live round here, mate. Just out for a walk after fixing up a motor. We're not your problem." Harris's grin widened, predatory. "Funny how everyone says that. If you're so innocent, you won't mind us having a look, will you?" He leaned in close, his breath sour with coffee. "Unless you've got something to hide. I've got all day to find out." Ellie's face flushed, her hands gripping her bag tighter. "This is ridiculous. We haven't done anything." Harris cut her off, his voice rising for the crowd's benefit. "You fit the description of a couple we're looking for. Stolen car parts, nicked wallets, maybe some fancy jewelry. Ring any bells?" He motioned to Reed, who stepped forward, hand outstretched. "Hand over the bag, love. Let's see what you're hiding." Ellie's eyes flicked to Matt, a mix of anger and fear, but the weight of the growing crowd, now a dozen strong, muttering, filming, judging, pressed down on her. She unzipped her bag, hands shaking, and Reed didn't hesitate. He snatched it from her, dumping the contents onto the grass like he was shaking out rubbish. Lipstick, a phone charger, a crumpled receipt from a petrol station, her car keys with a tiny Audi logo, all of it spilled out, exposed to the world. Reed held up the keys, dangling them like evidence. "Nice set. You been letting yourself into cars you don't own?" His tone was pure venom, and the crowd murmured louder, some nodding like they'd already convicted her. Harris crouched down, picking through Ellie's things with the tip of his baton, his voice carrying a theatrical edge. "Light bag for someone who looks like they're running a side hustle. What's this then? Pinching parts from scrapped motors?" He held up a receipt, squinting at it. "Auto shop, eh? Bet you're fencing stolen bits on the side." Ellie's voice cracked, but she held her ground. "That's mine. I work for what I have. I'm not a thief," Reed snorted, picking up her phone and scrolling through the screen. "Latest iPhone. What's a lass like you doing with this? Nick it off some rich kid?" Matt stepped forward, his voice low but firm. That's enough, mate. You've got no call to treat her like this. Walsh moved in, his hand resting on his baton, his eyes glinting with threat. Keep talking, big man. One wrong move and you'll be picking up your teeth off the pavement. A woman from the crowd, middle-aged with a pinched face, piped up, arms crossed. I always said this would happen. You let these types move in, and suddenly everyone's on edge. Her name was Karen, a local shop owner who'd complained about shady mechanics at community meetings. Harris played to her, his voice booming. Exactly. That's why we don't let just anyone wander about. Let's see what's in that toolbox, Armstrong. He gestured at Matt's kit, and Reed didn't wait for permission. He flipped it open, scattering spanners, a socket wrench, and a greasy rag across the grass. Well, proper thief's toolkit. This. What's the game? Breaking into cars at night? Matt's fists clenched, his knuckles white, but he kept his voice even. I fix cars for a living. That's my gear. You know that. Harris leaned in, his face inches from Ellie's, his voice dropping to a hiss. You look nervous, love. Guilty conscience. Or just not used to being caught out in daylight. He picked up her jacket, shaking it like it might hide a secret. What's this? Trying to distract us with that red number? Or hoping we'll look the other way? Karen chimed in again, louder now. Typical. Flashy clothes, flashy phone. They think they can just waltz in and nobody'll notice. Ellie's hands trembled as she knelt to gather her things, her voice tight. I earned all of this. I'm not what you're making me out to be. Reed laughed, cruel and sharp. Sure, and I'm the bloody queen. What's your job then? Professional joyrider? He tossed her ID back onto the ground, the card landing in the dirt. Leicester address. Who let you lot move in here? Can't see the bank giving a loan to someone who looks like they sleep in a garage. The crowd grew thicker, phones everywhere, capturing every second of Ellie's humiliation. A teenager muttered, "This is messed up," but no one stepped in. Harris's eyes gleamed as he pressed harder. Take off that jacket. Let's see what you're hiding under it. Ellie froze, her breath hitching, but the weight of the crowd's stares forced her hand. She slipped off the jacket, her arms shaking, and Reed snatched it, turning it inside out, checking every pocket with exaggerated care. No stolen goods here. Guess you're not as clever as you think. Or maybe you're just lazy. Walsh turned on Matt, his voice a low growl. You're awfully quiet for a bloke who's usually got a big mouth on YouTube. What's the matter? Letting your girl take the fall while you stand there looking useless? Matt's jaw set, his muscles straining with the urge to swing. But he held back, years of scrapping in BMX parks teaching him to wait for the right moment. Reed wasn't done. He picked up Ellie's car keys again, twirling them. Nice Audi fob. How'd you afford that? Or did you nick it off one of your projects? He air-quoted the word, his smirk vicious. Karen nodded, her voice carrying. First they take our jobs, then our safety. You let one in, and the rest come running. Ellie tried to stand, clutching her scattered belongings, but Reed pushed her back down, his hand heavy on her shoulder. We're not finished, love. Maybe you've got something stashed we haven't found yet. Harris grabbed her arm, his grip tight enough to bruise, forcing her to stay low. Let's make this quick. Confess now, or we'll take you both downtown. Matt's voice broke through, steady but edged with fury. Get your hands off her. She's done nothing wrong. Walsh stepped into his path, a wall of menace, his hand on his holster. One twitch, mate, and you're in cuffs. Try me. The air crackled with tension, the crowd's whispers turning into a low hum of anticipation. Harris leaned closer to Ellie, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. You think you can just move here and blend in? You're not fooling anyone. People like you are always trouble. He yanked her bag again, dumping out a pack of gum and a crumpled tissue, letting them fall like evidence of a crime. Trash, just like I thought. Ellie's eyes burned with tears she refused to let fall, her voice shaking but defiant. I'm not trash. I'm not what you're saying. Reed laughed, picking up her phone again. Oh, look at this. Instagram full of car pics. What's the scam? Selling stolen parts on the side? He shoved the phone at her chest, the crowd murmuring louder, some nodding in agreement, others shifting uncomfortably. Harris's next words were a challenge, his lips curling. So, what's it going to be, tough guy? He turned to Matt, his tone dripping with contempt. You going to play the hero, or just watch while we tear her apart? That's your thing, isn't it? Letting someone else take the heat while you look innocent? Reed grabbed Ellie's arm, his fingers digging into her sleeve, twisting her around. Arms up, love. Let's see what else you've got. He searched her pockets roughly, tossing a chapstick to the ground like it was evidence. Harris's voice rang out. All performance. Funny how nervous you get when we start looking too close. That how you pulled your last job? Play the victim. Hope nobody checks? Ellie's breath hitched, her dignity peeling away with every word, every touch. Walsh blocked Matt's path, pressing a hand into his chest. Back off, unless you want a cracked rib to go with that attitude. One move, and you're eating hospital food for a week. Matt's fury was a live wire under his skin, every muscle screaming to act, but he held it together, his voice low and dangerous. Let her go, now. Harris laughed, yanking Ellie's hair to keep her still. What's that, hero? You think you're in charge here? You're nothing. Ellie choked on a sob, pain and humiliation blending into one unbearable weight. The crowd's phones caught every angle, the whispers turning to jeers, some shocked, some hungry for more. Reed rifled through Ellie's jacket again, sneering. No stash here. Guess you're out of tricks, love. Maybe you thought you could charm your way out. This isn't London. Nobody's buying your sob story here. Then it happened. Harris's hand tightened on Ellie's arm, and he slapped her across the face, the crack echoing like a gunshot. The crowd gasped, phones shaking in their hands. Matt's restraint snapped like a cheap bolt. With a roar, he tore free from Walsh's grip, his fist slamming into Harris's jaw. Blood sprayed from the chief's mouth as he staggered back, stunned. Reed lunged, swinging a baton, but Matt was faster, wrenching it free and cracking it across Reed's ribs. The constable crumpled, gasping, the baton clattering to the ground. Walsh tackled Matt, but Matt twisted, driving an elbow into Walsh's throat, sending him to one knee. The toolbox lay open, and Matt grabbed a heavy spanner, swinging it with the precision of a man who'd spent years wielding tools. The crowd screamed, some in horror, some in awe, phones capturing every second of the chaos. Ellie scrambled to her feet, grabbing Matt's arm, sobbing, "Stop, Matt, please." But his voice thundered over the noise. "No one touches you. No one." Harris, blood dripping down his chin, clawed his way up, his eyes burning with hate. "You're done, Armstrong," he spat, as sirens wailed in the distance. Backup poured into the park, boots pounding, radios crackling. "Get down, on the ground." Matt tried to shield Ellie, but 4 officers swarmed him, slamming him face, first into the grass, a knee in his back, cuffs biting into his wrists. Ellie was yanked away, her head hitting the ground, stars bursting behind her eyes. A grizzled officer with a scarred face kneed Matt in the ribs, snarling, "Thought you were a big man, eh? Welcome to reality." Walsh, nose bleeding, stood over Matt, his voice thick with rage. "You animals never learn. This is what you get. Me." The crowd was chaos now, some shouting for mercy, others egging the police on. Phones flashed, capturing Matt's battered face, Ellie's limp form. The officers barked orders. A young lad tried to step forward, yelling, "This is wrong." But an officer shoved him back, cuffing him for obstruction. Matt's vision swam, pain searing through his leg where a baton had cracked against his shin. He tasted dirt, blood, and fury. But he caught one last glimpse of Ellie's hand, her red jacket crumpled in the grass, before they dragged him to the squad car. Harris, wiping blood from his lip, spat onto the ground. "Get them out of here. Let the world see what happens when you cross us." As the car door slammed, Matt's mind raced, replaying the fight, the slap, the years of scrappy BMX days where he'd learned to stand his ground. He wasn't just a mechanic anymore, not just a YouTuber fixing cars for clicks. This was something bigger, something raw. In the back of the squad car, his hands cuffed, his legs screaming, he swore to himself, this wasn't over, not by a long shot. The Leicester police station was a fortress of gray concrete, its fluorescent lights buzzing like trapped wasps, casting a sickly glow over the holding cell where Matt Armstrong sat, his wrist still raw from the cuffs. His shin throbbed where the baton had landed, a dull ache that pulsed with every heartbeat, but his mind was sharper than ever, replaying the park, Ellie's crumpled jacket, and the crowd's phones capturing it all. The video had exploded online, his YouTube subscribers, car enthusiasts, and random strangers alike sharing it across TikTok, Twitter, and Reddit. Hashtags like #JusticeFormat and #Leicester Police Brutality were trending before he'd even been processed. The cell smelled of stale sweat and metal, and through the bars, he could hear the distant roar of a crowd outside, chanting his name, Ellie's name, their story. Matt wasn't just a bloke who fixed cars anymore. He was a spark, and Leicester was catching fire. Ellie was out, released to a hospital with a bruised cheek and a sprained wrist, her red jacket now a symbol plastered across social media. Matt's phone, confiscated, couldn't show him the comments flooding his channel. "Mate, you're a legend for standing up. Those coppers are scum." Ellie didn't deserve that, but he felt it, the weight of a city waking up. In the hospital, Ellie wasn't resting. She was on her phone, ignoring the nurses' protests, coordinating with Matt's mate, Tom, who'd uploaded a raw vlog about the incident to the channel. The views were climbing 500,000 hours. Enter Sarah Kline, a civil rights lawyer who'd seen Matt's videos before, a fan of his gritty determination to rebuild Rex. She stormed into the hospital, her sharp suit a contrast to Ellie's battered state, and laid it out. "This isn't just about you two. Harris and his lot are part of something bigger, a clique in the Met Police called The Fence. They've been targeting working-class folks, mechanics, cabbies, anyone they think doesn't belong in their posh Leicester. We're taking them down." Ellie, eyes blazing through the pain, nodded. "Matt's still in there. Get him out." Sarah didn't waste time. She pulled strings, leveraging the viral video to pressure the Independent Police Complaints Commission, IPCC. By dawn, Matt was out on bail, limping into the sunlight to find a crowd of supporters, mechanics in greasy overalls, car club lads with souped-up Golfs, and local kids holding signs. "No more fence." Zoe Patel, a motoring journalist who'd interviewed Matt for a car magazine, was there, her camera rolling for her own YouTube channel. "Matt, this is bigger than Leicester," she said, her voice urgent. "The country's watching. What's your next move?" Matt, bruised but unbowed, looked at the crowd, then at Ellie, who'd joined him, her arm in a sling. "We fight," he said, his voice rough but steady. "Not with fists this time, but with the truth. Those coppers don't get to write our story." And the movement kicked off fast. Matt's YouTube channel became a war room. Tom and Ellie uploaded raw footage, body cam leaks from an anonymous source, and Matt's own vlog, recorded on a borrowed phone. They thought they could humiliate us, break us, because we're just a mechanic and his missus. They're wrong. This is for every lad who's been roughed up, every lass who's been shamed. We're not backing down. The video hit 1 million views in a day. Car clubs across the Midlands rallied, their modified escorts and civics clogging Leicester's streets in a rolling protest, horns blaring, engines revving in defiance. A hacker group, calling themselves Spanner Squad, dug into the Fence's digital trail, leaking radio logs and texts where Harris bragged about teaching chavs a lesson. One message read, "Armstrong's just a grease monkey with a camera. He'll fold." Matt didn't fold. He posted the leaks, his voiceover calm but cutting. "This is what they think of us. Let's show 'em who we are." Sarah Kline built the case like Matt rebuilt cars, methodical, relentless. She called in favors from motoring influencers, getting shout-outs from big names like Chris Harris, and even a retweet from Richard Hammond. "Matt's a proper bloke. Stand with him." The IPCC, cornered by public outrage, launched a full investigation. Zoe's live streams from protests outside the station pulled thousands, her commentary sharp. "This isn't just about Matt and Ellie. It's about a system that picks who belongs and who gets crushed." The crowd swelled students, shopkeepers, even a few off-duty coppers who whispered. Harris went too far. Matt and Ellie led a march to the city council, Matt limping but refusing to stop, Ellie holding a megaphone. They thought they could silence us. "We're louder than ever." A kid in the crowd, barely 16, handed Matt a wrench painted with justice in red. Matt held it up, the crowd roaring, cameras flashing. Inside the station, Harris was unraveling. The leaked texts had him on edge, his swagger gone. Reed and Walsh, his loyal dogs, were sweating, knowing the IPCC was circling. A whistleblower, PC Derek Cole, slipped Sarah a USB drive with radio logs. Harris ordering extra pressure on undesirables, like Matt. Derek, a rookie who joined the force to help people, met Sarah in a dim pub, his hands shaking. The Fence isn't just Harris. It's a network. They plant evidence, rough up anyone who looks wrong. If they know I'm talking, I'm done. Sarah's eyes were steel. "You're not alone, Derek. Help us, and we'll protect you." Matt, now free, met Derek in secret, gripping his hand. "Mate, you're doing the right thing. We've got your back." The courtroom loomed, a sterile chamber of oak and glass, packed with reporters, car fans, and locals who'd never seen a trial this big. Matt and Ellie sat in the front, Matt in a borrowed suit, Ellie's red jacket replaced with a sharp blazer, her bruises fading but her fire bright. Sarah laid out the case: assault, abuse of power, civil rights violations. The video played on a massive screen: Harris's slap, Matt's fists, the chaos in the park. Jurors flinched, some whispering, others stone-faced. Harris, in the dock, glared at Matt, his jaw tight, but his bravado was cracking. Reed tried to play dumb, claiming he followed orders. Walsh stayed silent, his eyes darting to the exit. Derek took the stand, his voice trembling but clear. I saw Harris target people like Matt for years. Mechanics, cabbies, anyone working class. The fence made it a game. Harris lunged, shouting, "You traitor!" But the judge's gavel slammed down, silencing him. Outside, the Armstrong Shield was born a movement of mechanics, drivers, and YouTubers demanding reform. They wore t-shirts with spanner logos, chanting, "No badge above the law." Matt's channel hit 2 million subscribers. His videos now half car builds, half calls for justice. Ellie started a fund, Wrench for Change, raising thousands for legal fees and community projects. Zoe's live streams caught every moment. A biker gang donating tools to kids. A car show raising funds for victims of police abuse. The IPCC raided the station, seizing files, uncovering years of unreported assaults. Harris's texts, bragging about keeping Leicester clean, were read in court, his own words damning him. The jury didn't take long. Guilty on all counts for Harris, Reed, and Walsh. The judge's voice was ice. No badge excuses tyranny. You've betrayed your oath. Matt squeezed Ellie's hand, tears in her eyes, not of pain but pride. The Leicester Unity Festival transformed Victoria Park into a sea of hope. Tents lined the grass. Car clubs parked their restored classics, BMWs, Porsches, even Matt's Audi TT, now gleaming. Mechanics handed out free tools to kids, teaching them to wrench. Matt and Ellie stood on a stage, a crowd of thousands, black, white, Asian, young, old, cheering. Sarah spoke first, her voice ringing. This isn't the end. It's the start. We've forced the truth out, and it's changing everything. Matt took the mic, his Leicester drawl thick. They thought we were nothing, just a couple of gearheads. But we're all of you. Every bloke, every lass, every kid who's been told they don't belong. This is our city now. Ellie, fierce, added, we didn't just fight for us. We fought for every kid who's scared to walk home, every worker who's been shamed. We're done being invisible. A surprise came when Karen, the shop owner who jeered in the park, stepped up, her face pale but resolute. I was wrong. I saw Matt and Ellie and thought trouble because that's what I was taught. I'm sorry. She turned to Ellie, tears falling. Can you forgive me? Ellie didn't hesitate, hugging her tight, the crowd erupting in cheers. A sapling was planted, a plaque reading, Hope drives forward. Kids from the Armstrong Shield painted it with spanner logos, a symbol of rebuilding. The festival ended with a convoy, hundreds of cars, horns blaring, circling Leicester, a rolling promise that change was here. Zoe's final broadcast went viral. Leicester isn't just a city, it's a blueprint for justice. Back home, Matt and Ellie sat in their garage, the Audi TT gleaming under the lights. The fight wasn't over, trolls still spewed hate online, and some coppers resisted reform. But the Armstrong Act was drafted, mandating body cams, civilian oversight, and whistleblower protections across the UK. Matt looked at Ellie, his voice soft. We started something, didn't we? She smiled, her hand on his. And we're not stopping. Their channel posted one last video that week. Matt, wrench in hand, saying, this isn't just about cars. It's about fixing what's broken in the world. Who's with us? The comments flooded in, thousands strong. We're with you, Matt. Always.